Barney's a little disappointed that he's not getting more attention. Back out in the garage messing around with the Gixxer a little bit again. So I found these. These are Venom motorcycle stands. You can get them off of Amazon for like this whole setup for 160 bucks or something like that. But then there's different pins that you can get for the front stand that go up into the headset there. And the one, so you buy the front and rear stand, and then you get the front stand up to here with the fork stands, the fork pivots. So it would normally just pick up and use this stand here and pick up under the fork. But I wanted the one that picks up off of the headset up under there so that I could get the front wheel off the ground and try to get these, see if I can get these forks straightened out a little bit and see if I can get this thing handling a little better. I think things are twisted up here between this top bolt and these pinch bolts for the forks and everything. So wanted to try messing around with that and kind of tweaking it a little bit, see if I can get that figured out. But when I went to pick it up I thought I'd give the El Cheapo a try. But when I went and tried to find this piece again on Amazon the other day, all I could find was the ones with the smallest pin for up into the headset. There was like a 18 or 19 up through like 26 millimeter, and this requires a 15 millimeter. But I saw a guy on Facebook Marketplace had these for sale, so I ended up picking these up for $100. And it does seem pretty decent, pretty sturdy. It wobbles a little bit, but I think where it's wobbling is because of a little flexibility right here. I noticed I did mar this up, so I put some tape on here on the swing arm, just on this pivot, but you can kind of see that one arm's kind of tweaked in a little bit. So I saw another guy on YouTube that actually took this apart and then welded this joint up here where the two pieces slide together, and it looked like it was quite a bit sturdier. So I'm going to give that a shot and see how that goes, because it does seem a little flimsy on this, especially on the, well, maybe not so much on this back one. This front one's a little flimsy, but I guess I didn't expect a ton from it, but it's sturdy enough to at least get the bike off the ground. And I kind of trust leaving it there. It seemed kind of sturdy when I picked it up, so I wasn't too concerned about it. But I think that's what I'm going to do tonight after I have some dinner. Just come back out here and pull these apart and weld those joints up on there and see how much sturdier it is and go from there. But like I said, my next objective is messing around with this front fork. Yeah, you can definitely see where that rotor's bent in there. But gonna mess around with that, try to get that welded up and mess around with this front fork and see if I can get that straightened out and see if that makes a difference. We got a couple days of warm weather, so I thought if I got this done, I could probably get it out and take it around the block if I get this kind of figured out and see if it acts any better. So I'll let you know. Okay, I was messing around with these, like I said, and I was going to weld it up so that that wasn't a separate piece from here to here. So I did that on 4 spots here. Kind of a crappy weld, some of them burned through, but got the job done. I wasn't worried about them being pretty. But got those welded together. So we'll get the Gixxer back up on the stands and see how much sturdier it feels. Alright, so I got that all up on the stands again. Like I said, got these spots all welded up. This feels a lot sturdier than it did before on the rear. In the front, it does feel sturdier, but there still is some flex in here. So you can kind of tell May get some cheaper tubing and stuff here, but see if we can show that a little more. There is some flex in there, but it does seem pretty sturdy. It's holding it up pretty well. The rear stand feels pretty solid now. So pretty happy with that. As far as a cheap purchase goes, if this front stand gives out, it gives out, I guess. Then I'll go on. I wanted to order the Woodcraft ones. Is it Woodcraft? Yeah, I think it's Woodcraft. But the rear stand was out of stock until it said at least mid-November. So I thought I'd just get these ones. Like I said, they're normally like 150 bucks off of Extreme Max products, so it doesn't even say Venom on the front one here. But the lower stand, huh? On the lower part it does, but not up here. Huh. So that's kind of funny, but it'll do for now. You know, I'll use them until I just don't trust them anymore, or if I start getting a bunch more bikes and they'll have to invest in the Woodcraft ones or whatever. Wait and see how it goes. But for now, this will get the job done. So my next task is, I don't know if I mentioned it when I was riding it around the block, but it does, you can kind of see it here. The wheel looks pretty straight, but you can tell the bars are tweaked to the right, and then it wants to pull to the right. So I don't know if I got a tweaked fork. It's very hard to tell since there's like a little bit of a taper or something to these forks. But I thought, you know what, I'll loosen all this stuff up, loosen up the clip-ons, loosen up this top bolt, and see if I can kind of get that tweaked around a little bit. One more update on the Gixxer here, the GSXR 750 for the night. I noticed like when you had the handlebars straight, the front wheel was kind of cocked to the right. So I'm trying to figure out if it's one of these forks or what it is. I thought I'd just try to loosen up all the pinch bolts up here, the handlebar bolts, the axle bolts that were down there, and just try to loosen that up. And I was just wrenching on that and holding the wheel still with my foot, thinking maybe I could try to push everything back and kind of straighten it out. I thought maybe things just got tweaked inside the clamps from whenever it had its crash. But I tried and for several minutes, well, probably more than several minutes, and couldn't really get it straightened out. So I thought I'd take the front fender off so I could get a better look at it. Well, then I had an issue with one of the bolts came out hard, so I actually ended up, they came out good on the left side, but not the right side. And one came out hard and I ended up stripping it out. So luckily I had an old Allen wrench laying around. So I just did the old welding trick and welded the Allen wrench right to the screw and spun it out. And well, you can see where it was kind of hanging up there. It's kind of a chunked up thread or something right there. So, but I welded that there. Luckily I was, well, the fender doesn't look that bad other than it's scuffed up, but then I mangled it a little there, welding it. So you can see it was drooping and melting a little bit there. And then I went and pulled the forks off too, pulled the front wheel off, got the brakes out of the way, just kind of zip tied them to the stand there. And this is the side with the bent rotor. I almost think it's this left fork that's tweaked a little bit somewhere. And it does have a leaky seal on it too, so I'm wondering if it did take a little bit of a jolt and then is leaking because of that. But the right fork, I thought, is the one that might have been tweaked since it was tweaked to the right. Gosh, the more I think about this, the more things just don't seem to line up. But, we'll get it figured out. We'll mess around with it a little bit. Might do some looking for parts. See if I can get some different forks or something for it. And Yeah, we'll go from there. I'll figure it out. I'll let you know what I decide. Hey Barney, should we do some updates? He says, do whatever you want, goober. I'll give a little update on the Suzuki GSXR 750 here. So I was out in the garage yesterday, had a buddy come over and helping me with a few things that I needed a hand with, and so my buddy and I started messing with this a little bit, and we thought we'd put the front end back together. And I was telling him how the front end was tweaked, how it felt when I drove it. He's another motorcyclist too, so we kind of went back through it, not in like extreme detail, like making sure we had everything perfect, but we kind of took our time and made sure everything was going back together properly. So we stuck the forks back up into the triple trees, just slid the axle through without the wheel, made sure everything looked like it was good and square and true, at least by eyeballing it, and cinched up all the bolts. I think I still need to cinch that up. Maybe that would make a difference too. But I don't think I tightened that top bolt up now that I think about it. So I'll have to do some messing with that, and maybe that'll change a few things. But we got it all put back together, and kind of looking at it now, that wheel's pretty straight, or the wheel's pretty straightforward. It's kind of hard to tell just because of the steering stabilizer there, but we did get it all back together. Everything tightened up, except for, like I said, now that I'm thinking back, I don't think I tightened that up properly. So that might make a difference here too. But we weren't doing anything crazy. We just took it for a ride around the block, and it seemed like it rode pretty decent. I think probably about the biggest thing is maybe these tires are a little worn, or maybe I did inflate them, but maybe they lost a little pressure. I know sometimes it gets real touchy with that. But it seemed like the handlebars are pretty straight now, but I'm really glad I took that front fender off, because riding it down the street, I think I had mentioned before that that rotor was bent on this side, so we just left it off of the bike. But riding it down the street, you could look right over the handlebars and see, like as you picked up speed, you could see a little wobble on that wheel and get faster and faster, of course, with the speed of the bike. So that front wheel is pretty confident in saying that front wheel is bent. So we'll definitely be replacing the front wheel, if not both wheels, and if I can't find like some used ones on Marketplace or something that are the same color. So unfortunately gonna have to do that. But fortunately, we both kind of agreed that we don't think the front forks are bent. I think things just got tweaked when things got messed up, like this clip-on was busted off, so maybe it just tweaked everything enough and had enough pressure on it. With taking it apart and putting it back together, things kind of reset themselves, is kind of what I'm thinking. And my buddy agreed. So that's the update for the Gixxer.